I wondered if we could start with the question of what role do you think song played in the Welsh revival?
Oh, it was huge. Of all the things really that characterised the Welsh revival of 1904 was song. That was everywhere. People couldn't help but sing. They had been touched deeply, and their response was to sing in the language and in the hymnology that they already knew. So if you were in Wales at the end of the 19th century, you were brought up with hymns, piles of them. Lots of these hymns have been written all through the 19th century. You sang them on a regular basis. You had a Gymanfa Ganu, a singing festival that you went to. There was a big organ in your church and all these different things. You were brought up to sing. The Welsh people sang, okay? But when the revival came, what happened was these songs became real. The theology of the songs came alive. They came alive because people's hearts now understood them. They understood what they were singing. They've been singing these things for years. But it just came alive. And, you know, the famous one is Here is Love Vast as the Ocean. Wasn't the only one by any means. So that they recognized here is love vast as the ocean, loving kindness like the flood. You have the whole idea of the flood of God's love coming down. That's exactly what they felt. So they sang what they felt. So what happened was, instead of having hymn books disappeared. They went during most of the revival meetings, especially with Evan Roberts himself. They just pitched songs. So for the first time, or one of the first times, you've got a charismatic service. I use the word charismatic with a small c. So people would just pitch songs and everybody would join in. They all knew them. They all knew the songs. So someone would begin singing from the back and everybody would join in. Choruses were thrown in. And it became a revival of song. Actually, it was even criticized for being so full of song. On top of that, you had Evan Roberts' team, who were women, and they had wonderful voices. And that team got together very, very early, and they sang in the churches and led the singing. Annie Davis, the most well-known, she would get up and she would lead in singing, and she would feel the Holy Spirit coming upon her, and she'd begin to sing a song and everyone would join in. It was huge. It was a major characteristic of the Welsh revival of 1904.
I remember reading as well an article, and it was from a newspaper cutting that Evan Roberts had done with a journalist from London. And I think the journalist asked him a question like, you know, do you think revival will reach the shores of England and Scotland and Ireland? And he comes back with the answer, well, the question to ask is, can they sing? And
that's right. That's a great, I didn't know that. Never come across
that profound, and I think that's something that's been in my heart is the beginning of Sound of Wales, you know? There's a song in Wales that holds such a deep seed of the richness of truth. It's not theology, it's experiential encounter with the living God.
And that is the thing with the Welsh hymns. And every morning, nearly every morning, I've got the book right there. I have an 1847 hymnal, Samuel Roberts' hymnal, first published in 1842, but I got an 1847 edition of it. So I generally use those hymns, those old Welsh hymns, as devotions. I love reading my prayers, because some of these people, and you're dead right in saying they're not just theological and they're not just experiential. They're experience and theology linked together.
That's good.
And the great thing about non-conformity in Wales is that there's a link between serious theology, especially 18th, 19th century, and serious experience. One, you can't take them apart. Once you've made a cake, everything is a cake. All right? And here, the theology and experience all become one. Whereas often you can sing a theological hymn and it's all theology and there's no feel in it. But in Wales, because they were Calvinistic Methodists, many of them, which means Calvinism was strong on the doctrine, all these different things, but they were Methodists, a Methodist song. So you have this this serious understanding of biblical theology mixed up with song and really thrown out as song in revival, not just in revival, but at any time. So you get those two things.
No, that's really good. Thanks, Kev.